Welcome! This is my performance-based project for EDU 513 Models of Teaching. My name is Mark Ianini and I'm excited to take you on this learning adventure. Let's get started. For this project, I utilized Madeline Hunter's Instructional Theory into practice. This model helped guide my lesson in order for students to obtain a better understanding about the different modes of transportation that were used on the Texas frontier. Madeline Hunter, Professor of Educational Administration and Teacher Education, was the creator of this Instructional Theory into Practice teaching model. This model became an in-service staff development program that was widely used during the 1970s and 1980s. There are 7 instructional elements to this model: objectives, standards, anticipatory set, teaching, input, modeling, checking for understanding, guided practice, monitoring, closure, and independent practice. The anticipatory set is used to prepare students for the lesson by setting the students' minds for instruction. This is achieved by asking a question or making statements to pique interest, create mental images, review information, and initiate the learning process. Stating the objectives is necessary to students because it alerts them to what they need to do and also the purpose of the lesson. Instructional input is where the student gains the knowledge needed to achieve the objective. Modeling is when the instructor or students demonstrates how to achieve the objective. Check for understanding is when the teacher checks to see if the students understand the concept or steps and how to enact them to achieve the objective. Guided practice is when the students do the objective under the guidance of a support system that can assure success. And independent practice is when the students practice what they learn after they are capable of performing the objective without support. For this lesson, I've used a variety of different teaching strategies: setting objectives and providing feedback, identifying similarities and differences, summarizing and note-taking, cooperative learning, non-linguistic representations, reinforcing effort and providing feedback, and homework and practice. Prior to the lesson, the students will be provided with objectives for the lesson. Throughout the lesson, I will provide feedback to the students in order for them to gain a better understanding of the different content that is being presented that is directly related to those objectives. The specific objectives for this lesson are: the student will be able to list the different types of transportation on the Texas frontier, recognize through illustration the different types of transportation on the Texas frontier, and identify at least one fact about each type of transportation used on the Texas frontier. I will begin the lesson by utilizing similarities and differences. I will ask the students to pull out a piece of scratch paper. Each student will then be asked to draw a Venn diagram on the scratch paper. A Venn diagram is a commonly used graphic organizer in order for comparison. The Venn diagram provides students with a visual display of the similarities and differences between two items. It is created by two circles that are overlapping. I will then ask the students to list the differences and similarities of transportation we currently use today to transportation we used to use in the past. I will then draw a large Venn diagram on the board and have the students explain the similarities and differences that they have discovered. Students will then fill in on their Venn diagram the similarities and differences that they do not have listed on their own. Students will utilize summarizing and note-taking based on the definition frame. First, the term is defined. Next, the category in which the term belongs to is expressed. Then, the characteristics that make it different are discussed. Finally, the different classes of objectives that fall directly beneath the term are explained. For this lesson, I will explain that army wagons, prairie schooners, farm wagons, buckboards, and surreys were all used to travel in Texas. I will follow by handing out 5 different handouts, each with a title and picture of each wagon and lines under for notes. I will then begin to talk about each wagon one by one. The students are responsible to write notes about each wagon. No notes will be written on the board. I will prompt students through the explanation if they feel a topic is important or if students may want to jot that topic down. Cooperative learning is a successful teaching strategy in which small teams, each with students of different levels of ability, use a variety of learning activities to improve their understanding of a subject. Each team member of a team is responsible not only for learning what is taught, but also for helping teammates learn, thus creating an atmosphere for achievement. Students work through the assignment until a group of members successfully understand and complete it. I incorporate cooperative learning in this lesson by randomly handing out wagon pieces to each of the students. There are 5 different wagon pieces, which will eventually be 5 different groups. I will inform students to find other students who have the same wagon piece as themselves and find a quiet location in the room. This will organize students into informal cooperative groups. After students have settled, I will distribute a large piece of paper to each group. Students are then going to be required to develop a concept pattern organizer. Students will label their wagon in the middle, and then it will have a list of different characteristics with examples of those characteristics on the large sheet of paper. So what is a concept pattern organizer? Well, graphic organizers, mind maps, and concept maps are pictorial or graphical ways to organize information and thoughts for understanding, remembering, or without about. Graphic organizers, mind maps, and concept maps are powerful tools that can be used to enhance learning and create a foundation for learning. Students will label their wagon in the middle, and then they will have to list different characteristics with examples of those characteristics. Throughout the lesson, I will be reinforcing the students through verbal praise and comments for their efforts. Students will be recognized by letting them present their work to the class and also giving them the opportunity to explain their thoughts and ideas to myself. Practice during this lesson will consist of writing notes and creating a concept pattern organizer. An additional extension activity for groups that finish work early will have the opportunity to create their own wagon, and at the end of the lesson for independent homework, I will hand out a small homework assignment about the 5 wagons in order for the students to develop practice from what they learned in their lesson today. Overall, the instructional theory into practice model designed by Madeline Hunter has several components that help let the teacher imagine, create, and successfully implement different lessons that are thoroughly executed based on the model. I hope everyone watching enjoyed this informative presentation and in the future considers the instructional theory into practice model. Thanks and have a great day.